Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to tell you a haunting story about the disappearance of an 11-year-old girl, right from her own room on Christmas Eve. This is not just an ordinary case. It holds secrets that will send chills down your spine. What will be revealed next will make it impossible for you to take your eyes off this story. Stay until the end of the video to uncover the dark truth behind it. Sarah Foxwell was born in 1998 in Salisbury, Maryland, an adorable 11-year-old girl who always brought joy to those around her. The second child in a large family, Sarah was known as a unifier, always doing everything she could to maintain harmony between her siblings. However, her life was not easy. After her parents divorced, Sarah's mother had to work day and night to support the family. To ease the pressure on her mother, Sarah and her siblings were often sent to stay with relatives. In December 2009, Sarah was sent to stay with her aunt and grandparents in the suburbs so her mother could work overtime during the Christmas season. Sarah loved living on the farm. The peaceful atmosphere and the upcoming days promised a joyful Christmas. But everything changed on the night of December 22nd when tragedy struck unexpectedly. On December 22nd, everything went on as usual. Sarah's aunt ordered pizza for the family, and the children played happily around the farm. The air was filled with laughter and excitement. Around 9 p.m., everyone began to prepare for bed. Sarah and her 6-year-old sister, Emma, slept in a small room near the back door of the house. A peaceful night passed at least. That's what everyone thought. The next morning, Sarah's grandfather entered the room to wake the two girls up, but only Emma was in bed. Sarah was missing. At first, the family thought she might have gotten up early to play in the snow, but all hope quickly faded when they discovered the back door was wide open. Even though it had been locked tight earlier, the spare key left outside was also gone, and Sarah's toothbrush had mysteriously disappeared. The family immediately called the police. At that moment, the greatest fear began to loom. Sarah may have been abducted. When the police arrived, they immediately inspected the scene and gathered information from the family. It was then that an important detail emerged. Emma, Sarah's 6-year-old sister, suddenly revealed a secret. Emma said that during the night, she woke up and saw a man enter the room. He spoke to Sarah and then led her away. Emma, too scared to move, pretended to be asleep. When asked, she recognized the man. It was Mr. Tommy, or Thomas Legs, Sarah's aunt's ex-boyfriend. This information shocked both the family and the police. Thomas was not only familiar to the family, but he also had a terrifying past. He was a sex offender with multiple convictions for assaulting women and children. But thanks to loopholes in the law, he had always escaped severe punishment. Now, all suspicions pointed to Thomas. But would the police have enough evidence to charge him? And most importantly, was Sarah still alive? The news of Sarah's disappearance spread quickly, and the entire community united to search for her. More than 3,000 people, including police, volunteers, and local residents, scoured the area, from dense forests and small streams to abandoned buildings nearby. Each person carried hope that Sarah would be found safe. Meanwhile, the police focused on investigating Thomas Legs. His car was thoroughly searched, and inside, they found a series of suspicious pieces of evidence: Sarah's toothbrush, a large lollipop, and traces matching the crime scene near Sarah's house were found in his car. Additionally, GPS data from Thomas's phone showed he had been near Sarah's house the night she went missing. Tire tracks near the house also matched his truck. However, despite the mounting evidence pointing to him as the culprit, Thomas remained cold and denied all accusations. Appearing unfazed during police questioning, the search continued for several days, despite the freezing weather and heavy snow. But all hope was finally extinguished on Christmas afternoon. While searching a dense forest near the state border, a search team discovered Sarah's body. She was lying on the ground, her body showing signs of brutal abuse. Investigators quickly cordoned off the area and began an autopsy. What they found sent shivers down the spines of everyone involved in the case. Sarah had been strangled and drowned before the killer decided to set her on fire. The marks on her body indicated she was still alive when she was burned. A horrific truth beyond imagination. This was no longer just a missing person case. It was the crime of a cold-blooded killer. And now all the police wanted was to bring him to justice. When Sarah's body was found, all suspicions were focused on Thomas Leggs. With increasingly clear evidence, the police moved forward with his arrest. Thomas was brought in for questioning, but his demeanor made everyone shudder. Instead of showing concern or remorse, Thomas remained cold and even mocked the investigators. He denied all charges and insisted he had nothing to do with Sarah's disappearance. However, investigators had enough evidence to believe Thomas was the killer. Sarah's DNA was found on his clothes, along with traces from the crime scene that matched his truck. Text messages from Thomas's phone on the night Sarah went missing also revealed he had been driving around the area near her house. Despite the mounting evidence against him, Thomas continued to attempt to create an alibi. He claimed that on the night of Sarah's disappearance, he was at a bar with friends. Initially, this testimony seemed plausible, as the police confirmed that Thomas had been seen at the bar. However, the problem was that he left the bar around 1 a.m., precisely when Sarah disappeared. After that, no one knew where he went until the next morning. When questioned about the evidence, such as Sarah's toothbrush found in his car, Thomas continued to deny any involvement. He claimed the evidence was a coincidence and refused to explain further. Even more terrifying was Thomas's smug attitude toward his crime. During the interrogations, he not only smiled but also mocked the investigators, as if he was confident that they couldn't charge him. This coldness enraged the investigative team, and they became more determined to bring this cold-blooded criminal to justice. However, the investigators still needed more evidence to ensure that Thomas couldn't escape punishment. At this point, they decided to focus on the GPS data from his phone, the traces on his vehicle, and witness testimonies. When Sarah's body was examined, forensic experts discovered horrifying evidence of what she had endured before her death. Sarah had not only been abducted, but she had also been brutally tortured. First, the killer attempted to strangle her but failed. Then, he drowned Sarah, nearly suffocating her. However, the most chilling discovery came from the forensic experts' final conclusion. Sarah had been set on fire. The signs on her body indicated that she was still alive when the flames began to spread, and the soot in her lungs was undeniable proof that she inhaled toxic fumes while being burned alive. Sarah's posture when she was found further amplified the horror for those who witnessed it. She was lying on her back, her arms raised as if she were begging for help. This is a natural reflex of the body when exposed to high heat. The crime scene sent shivers down the spines of everyone involved in the case, from the police officers to the local residents. Even experienced investigators could not imagine the level of brutality Sarah had endured. For Sarah's family, this truth was a devastating shock. They had not only lost their beloved daughter, but they also had to face the horrifying reality that Sarah had suffered in her final moments of life. These findings sparked outrage throughout the community. How could someone with such a serious criminal record, like Thomas Leggs, be free to roam and continue committing such heinous acts? Those who had participated in the search for Sarah couldn't believe what they were hearing. An innocent, vibrant 11-year-old girl had been savagely destroyed in such a monstrous way. The case of Sarah Foxwell was a harrowing tragedy that left a lasting impact on her family and the entire community. With all the evidence gathered, there was no longer any doubt that Thomas Leggs was the perpetrator of the brutal crime. The police were determined to bring him to justice. But would it be enough to ease the immense pain felt by Sarah's family and the community? With the overwhelming evidence, Thomas Leggs was charged with the kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder of Sarah Foxwell. Despite his continuous denial, the evidence against him was irrefutable. DNA belonging to Sarah was found on his clothing. Forensic experts confirmed that the traces at the scene, from Sarah's toothbrush to tire marks, matched his vehicle and the route he took on the night Sarah went missing. Faced with the undeniable evidence, Thomas eventually confessed to the crime. To avoid the death penalty, he agreed to a plea deal, accepting 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. Sarah's family, though heartbroken, agreed to the deal to spare themselves from a lengthy trial, especially to protect Sarah's younger sister, Emma, from having to testify in front of her sister's killer. Sarah's case did not just devastate her family but enraged the entire community. People asked how someone like Thomas, with a history of sexual offenses involving children, could have been released multiple times. Thomas had been convicted numerous times for assaults on women and children. However, due to legal loopholes and early release for good behavior, he was repeatedly set free. Sarah's case became a wake-up call, highlighting the failures in the legal system to protect society's most vulnerable, children. In response to the outrage, Maryland passed Sarah's Law, a new statute aimed at increasing penalties for sex offenders who target children. Under this law, individuals like Thomas would serve a minimum of 15 years before being eligible for parole. While this was an important step forward for Sarah's family, it was only a small consolation for the overwhelming grief they faced. Thomas Leggs is currently serving his life sentence at a high-security prison. In the early days of his incarceration, he was attacked by other inmates due to the horrific nature of his crime. The severe injuries he sustained forced him into solitary confinement under strict supervision. While justice has been served, the pain Sarah's family endures will never fade. The vibrant, innocent 11-year-old girl was taken in a brutal and senseless act, and her loss leaves an irreplaceable void. Sarah's story, though tragic, also serves as a stark reminder to us all. It underscores the need for a more stringent legal system to protect children and the importance of heightened vigilance within our communities. This case has reshaped the way the state of Maryland handles sexual crimes. But more importantly, it reminds us to do everything we can to protect the children around us from lurking dangers. If you believe this story is important to share, please like and subscribe to the channel to help spread this message. Leave a comment below with your thoughts on how the legal system handled this case. Thank you for watching today's video, and we'll see you in the next story.